Welcome to the Steel Birds podcast. Starring your hosts Corey King and Harry Brockington IV, aka Barack. What's up, man?
Yes, sir. What's up?
We got real football today. Both our teams got preseason games. Since we
Finally
record
made
this
it.
on Friday, August 9th. How you
Yes,
feeling?
sir. Man, like we finally made it. I feel like this has
Yeah.
been probably like the longest summer of my life for whatever reason. But man, it feels like summer was 4 months, honestly. But yeah, finally here, and
Yeah.
regular season right around the corner. So
Yeah, no doubt. It should be fun to watch our teams play.
definitely.
Yeah, so today we are going to um start off by talking, just training camp news updates for both our teams. Then we're gonna get into, just preseason being at the first game, like some stuff we're trying to look for, players, that we're trying to see, battles out there that might get determined or, might have an impact based on how they do in this game. And then after that, we're gonna talk about, the season long prop bets that we crafted not too long ago. We're gonna look at how FanDuel or one of those other gambling sites like has their props compared to ours for the season, and then grind our gears. So if you're ready, you
Let's get
wanna
it.
kick it off with the what's going on in Steelers training camp.
Yeah. So main thing obviously is just what's been going on between Justin Fields and Russ. As we know, Russ had the calf strain, as they called it. But from my experience, anytime you strain something, it's just more like it's tender, and you can't really do the things that you would do, such as like run at top speed or cut or whatever, to your best ability. But it's not something that would linger as kind of what it's done with him, and so I personally believe that he pulled his calf, just based off of also seeing tramp or training camp footage of him kind of gingerly planning when he was doing throws, stuff like that, because he would stay after practice and throw, even though he wasn't really practicing, and you could just kind
Yeah,
of tell from his movements that it's different because I've pulled my hamstring and I know exactly how that feels and
same.
how you
Yep,
move, and it's
yep.
exactly kind of what how he was moving and everything. So obviously because of that, Justin has gotten all the first team reps, and even when Russ has been out there in full pads, he comes in, he hands the ball off, and then he comes off, and Justin comes right back in. So it's really just been Justin Fields' show, and he's done great. I don't really keep up with this, but people have counted, and he has like 40 something touchdowns to 4 interceptions in camp, which that's hilarious to me that people actually pay attention to that. But
Yeah,
I
right.
guess for for Justin's situation, that matters to some people, whatever. But
Yeah.
he's been doing good, so he's going to play tonight with the ones, and so a lot of the speculation is if he continues on this route because of Russ's unfortunate injury, he could possibly start Week 1 versus the Falcons, and so excited to see what he does there. As far as defensively, Dante Jackson has been fitting in very well, has been getting a lot of interceptions in camp, so hasn't been hindered or getting any injuries, and obviously that's kind of been his resume throughout his career is kind of having injuries here and there, and so he's been healthy, so that's been really good to see. He's been really fast and everything, so coming off that Achilles, looks like he's not hindered at all, so really like to see that. An undrafted free agent that we picked up, Beanie Bishop from West Virginia. He was kind of described as like a scrappy guy, a smaller dude, but fifth year senior, so expected to kind of go in the fifth, sixth, seventh round, but ends up getting picked up as an undrafted free agent, and right now he's our starting nickel, so he's been killing it in camp himself. Has had a couple pick sixes, so excited to see what he does tonight versus some live action, if he's going to really be our nickel, and if so, that's another great story, kind of like I mentioned before, like a Jalen Warren story where you're completely overlooked, but then you become a starter, a guy that's really being depended on, and that's just always a great thing to see. And then back on the offensive side, rookies for the offensive line, Troy Fautanu has been really killing it in camp. He's winning a lot of his one-on-one reps, specifically versus TJ, which you're winning versus TJ Watt. That says a lot.
Yeah, especially as a rookie.
Exactly. So he's been obviously making his own mistakes, and when he does false starts or whatever, they make them take a lap. So he's embraced his punishments when he messes up, but he's just been a dude that everyone thought he would be. He's in there learning, and he's only getting better every practice. Zach Frazier, our center from West Virginia as well, he kind of has not struggled, but kind of come along slower than Troy. But now he's kind of getting into his little groove and getting some pancakes in there. So might not be a week one starter that I think Troy will be, but I think we'll definitely see him start sometime in the season. But looking like he's coming along a little bit slower. And then Broderick, he's had an elbow injury that kind of has lingered him to only play on the right side because the injury is on his left elbow, and so from him being able to punch, that's a big issue, him being on the left side. But the the consensus is that he will be on the left side once he's healthy, and Troy will eventually get his spot at right tackle, and that's how it'll play out. So right now camp is kind of going, obviously other than Russ being injured, has kind of gone the way I have envisioned it to go. And so hopefully tonight, they kill it and it just continues into the regular season.
Yeah, that's good. That's always good to hear. Like I feel like it's important to follow the like it's important to like find the media people you trust and like know that they're not like gassing the team up to get clicks, because like
Absolutely.
a lot of the times people be like, oh, this guy's cooking. It's like, no, he's not. Like no other source is saying that. Like what are you talking about? So if all the people that you trust are saying it because they're there and like it looks good and you're seeing videos and your eyes are matching what you're hearing, then that's always good. Yeah, on the Eagles side, first I forgot to mention Nick Foles retired as an Eagle. So shout out to Nick Foles. He got drafted by the Eagles in 2012. Had like an up and down career, but won us our first Super Bowl. He's actually the highest graded QB in the Super Bowl per PFF ever, which is wild. And so whatever he is getting into, wish him all the best. But yeah, in terms of training camp, the Eagles offense is really, really doing well. They're saying it looks brand new. There's motion, there's under center runs, play action, boots, rollouts, stuff that sounds like basic offense in the NFL, but to Eagles fan, you're excited to hear that. Like I said before, because we were bottom 5, if not the last, in motion rate, under center runs, stuff like that. Besides QB sneaks, we barely ran the ball under center. So seeing just more variety is gonna, help us be more multiple and make defenses less what's the word, like not be able to game plan as well, because we won't be as predictable. It's not going to be every time we line up under center it's this, or there's going to be more. And then once you build on on those base plays, then you have counters to those plays. It's like you can build off of what the foundation of the offense is, which seems to be a lot more complex than in years past, which I love to hear. And in particular, they're saying Jalen Hurts has yet to throw an interception in practice. He's at like 100 and someone counted. I think he's like at 158, 160 pass attempts without an interception, which is really impressive, because it's not even about like just throwing accurate balls. Like sometimes you throw an accurate ball, it gets tipped, someone picks it off. It's just nothing. It's either hitting the ground or people are catching it, but no interceptions is really good to see, especially because people were kind of worried after OTAs and spring, whatever the stuff going on in the spring. They're just like, oh, he doesn't look that sharp. It's not, he said the offense is so new, he's blah blah blah, but he seems to be in back in 2022 form, which is good to hear. And then on the defensive side, the linebacker situation is going to be interesting. They're just kind of rotating guys in. Zach Bond is out there as the first linebacker with Devin White sometimes. Then it's Nakobe Dean, and then now I'm hearing, Jeremiah Trotter has been making some plays, so I'm excited to see him play in the preseason game. Yeah, and then the DBs, it's just kind of the same deal. It's like Isaiah Rodgers is doing well. Keely Ringo's getting some first team reps, and then Slay is going to be Slay, and we're trying to see if we can get Quignon in the slot or work him in, but we got some depth at corner, and safety is the one where it's going to be, we're going to have to figure that out because we got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back there and Reed Blankenship, but then they're talking about he said boo. Yeah, they're talking about what's going to happen when Cooper DeJean comes back. Is he just going to be in the slot? We don't know. We're going to figure it out. So there's stuff to be optimistic about. It's good to having too many good players is a good thing because it's like, okay, we have depth. We can slot people in different positions and stuff.
Right.
And lastly, one of the things that the reason why I said after you were talking, like why it's important to find like the people you trust in the media and who like isn't just talking out their ass is like one of the things that I've been hearing from like a lot of sources that I like and respect is that like they're talking about Jalen Carter like he's going to be defensive player of the year. Like they're not saying like, oh yeah, he's having a good camp. They're like, no, this is like he's special right now. They're saying he's ragdolling like Mekhi Becton and like who's like 6'8", 350. He's a monster. He's big as hell. He's ragdolling him like no one can block him. They're saying like as it stands right now, like they're like if you're a betting man, like betting on Jalen Carter to win defensive player of the year would not be crazy because that's how good he looks. So
that's always great to hear.
Yeah. So for someone who had such a great start as a rookie, being compared to like Aaron Donald, and then he kind of fell off as the whole team did. So I can't really, blame him for that. But that's just great because, off the field stuff aside, talent wise, he can be a very special player. So I'm excited to see how how his season shakes out. But yeah, if you're ready, let's just get into this first preseason game, talk about some players and whatever we want to get into.
For sure.
But all right. You wanna start? You wanna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the obvious, I really, going to be watching Justin Fields. Only expect him to play, a few series or maybe a quarter, depending on Mike Tomlin. He's said, Mike T, that they're going to play a couple series, but maybe if he kind of likes what he's seeing, they play a little bit more. I think he's kind of like on the fly type of coach with certain things, so it's kind of just going to be on how it plays out, but definitely going to be looking to see how he has command over the offense, how he processes everything, because that's kind of been his biggest negative is that he processes too slow, which that can't be. If you have any negatives as a quarterback, that's not the one you want to have. Is that you process the defense slow. So definitely going to be looking to see how he does there. Going to be looking at Troy, Zach Frazier. Both of them want to see how they do against different competition. I really want to be keyed in on Calvin Austin III. He's been really big in camp as well. To my knowledge, we're not going to give anybody back in this trade with the 49ers if that's something that goes through with Brandon Ayuk. But, it wouldn't hurt for him to go off and kind of start cementing himself as a threat just in case, we don't know how it's going to go or if they're going to ask for whatever back. But, him obviously breaking his foot his rookie season and then having basically a recovery season last year, in your third year, you kind of want to, set the tone that you're a guy that's not just a weapon, a gadget guy, that you have routes you can be a possession guy. You can play inside outside. You want to kind of just show your versatility. So I'm kind of looking to see how he performs as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I just want to continue to see Dante Jackson perform well. As I said, he's been really, really good in camp. I want to see him stay healthy through however many preseason games he plays. Just kind of want to see that he can, take the hits and not have any knick-knack, injuries here and there. Uh, just want to see his game speed, how he's coming in and out of his breaks from that Achilles injury. Hasn't bothered him at all in practice, but obviously game speed is a little bit different. So I'll be looking to him. And then, as I said, Beanie Bishop, trying to really lock up that nickelback position. Right now he's listed as the starter. So really want to see how he does in his first professional action. And there's Peyton Wilson too, the rookie out of North Carolina State.
Oh yeah.
He's had flashes here and there. He's said to be one of our dime starting backers, but depending on how Cole Holcomb comes back from his knee injury, he could very well be in that rotation with the Landon Roberts and Patrick Queen. But obviously, these preseason games are going to be a big tell of how much he can handle and if he can be in that rotation, because you always want to have like 4 guys that you can rotate in and out. So definitely look to him. And then last dude would be Corey Trice Jr. He was a 7th round pick last year out of Purdue. He was said to be having a better camp than Joey Porter Jr. actually last year until he tore his ACL. So that was unfortunate. He's kind of had injury issues. He was at Purdue as well. So it's been kind of, a wait and see thing with him. But because he had such a great camp last year, I think that's why he's still, on the team and being given a chance to prove that he can be that guy. Even though being a 7th round pick, you kind of don't have that many opportunities to show that you deserve to be on the roster. But because, he, was having basically a better camp than our cornerback 1 right now, I think that's why he's still getting that chance. So right now he's also going to be in one of our dime rotations, but I think they're also looking at him to be that 3rd or 4th outside corner if Joey or Dante either get injured or they just need to come out. So guy that's 6'3", 217, big long corner. He has speed, so I'm really going to just be looking to see him stay healthy as well, and then just how he is back in game, form, and see if he has any conditioning issues or anything like that. But
yeah,
those are the main guys that I'm looking to see to make a splash, and hopefully they ball out.
Yeah, definitely. Your game is it's the first, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the only one that's on NFL Network, which usually I'm always having to try to find different things to watch. But yeah, I think the rest of the games are on. I think your game is on NFL Plus, so
okay.
That's different. But yeah, that'll be at 4.
Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah, for the Eagles, for this game, they said the starters are going to play at least a series, so that'll be good to see. Just how they look, especially on defense. Offense, I don't really have any concerns, but it'll be nice to just see them get out there. Defensively, I just want to see if it's game 1, week 1, whatever. Is this going to be the starting secondary linebacker group? I want to see who gets out there first. But in terms of just guys, I'm excited to see, just if they really took a step or developed. Nolan Smith is one who they said, he came into camp a little heavier than last year, but still very explosive, which is good. I should say actually more explosive than last year, and he's been able to just beat guys off the snap just because of how fast and elusive he's been. They said he just beat Lane Johnson straight up on some plays, which is crazy because Lane is one of the best in the league. So that's really good to hear, because last year he had, I think, 3 QB hits total and barely played. So if he can take a step, that would be really good to see. And then Nakobe Dean's another one who, people are saying he's having his best training camp, but that's not really saying much because in years past, he hasn't, he has, his best training camps, his other training camps haven't been good, or he's been like
Right.
kind of banged up. So,
Exactly.
I'm glad he's having a good camp, but also like that's not telling me shit. But a preseason game where he makes plays, that
A
would be
little bit
really good
better.
for
Yeah.
him. So, and I would like to just see him in a game situation because some guys, they can be decent in practice, but then when it comes to game time, they just are game time players, and
Yeah.
so he's one. He's another one who I just want to be healthy and play his best, and hopefully that's enough to show that he can actually make plays out there and be a starter. Um, and then of course, Quinyon Mitchell is the one too that I just want to see him out there. He's our first round pick, and not only do I want to see him just play, I just want to know like where they're going to line him up. Is it going to be solely in the slot with the ones maybe, or is he just going to be on the outside with the twos or threes? Just stay out there and play on the outside just to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. And then on top of that, Isaiah Rodgers. Obviously, I just want to see him at corner if he can really handle the outside, like they're saying. I just want to see in a game situation, and they said he might even return kicks. So because he's fast, he's elusive,
That's another thing
whatever.
I forgot.
So
Yeah. Kick return stuff is going to be big too.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see for our teams who's out there and how they block it up, if they're going to stay basic or might switch some stuff up. But
Right.
that's it for the defense. And then offensively, the receiver 3 battle is really what I'm looking at today. So whether it's John Ross, Paris Campbell, Anais Smith, or Johnny Wilson, all those guys have been getting first team reps. All those guys have done different things well, but no one has like straight up taken that spot. No one's like, I'm the receiver 3 and took over. So I think this game will determine who's really going to be able to get more reps at that spot, because they all have different attributes about them and do good things, but we need someone who's just going to be the bona fide number 3, consistent receiver. So all that is going to be fun to watch. I'm glad it's not a preseason game where it's just like, oh, we know who's going to be the starters and I don't have to pay attention really. But this is one where it's like, nah, there's important holes in like some spots where I really want to lock in on. So it'll be fun. It'll be nice. And especially the fact that the starters are going to play at least a series. So that's cool. Last year, I don't think, because last year we were coming off the Super Bowl, I don't think any starters played until like the last preseason game maybe, and it wasn't much. They did not really go into the season hot last year. So I like, we're going to play the starters a little bit, rev them up and get them ready come for week 1. So
taking that Andy Reid approach, I like. He said that he always believed in his starters getting some type of game time, reps during the preseason. And so, I don't understand why people have such an issue with that, because it's like, it's not like he's saying there's going to be one game where all his starters play the whole game or even 2 quarters. That could literally just be a few series. That is literally better than going those 3 weeks and never playing at all. Some people don't understand that. At least getting a few series or maybe a quarter, maybe they play a few series the first couple games and then the last preseason game, they play a whole quarter. That is, way better than you're just on the sidelines with, a clipboard and a headset, like your coaches, and you're just, you're basically there chilling with your homies, talking on the sideline. That's basically we know what it is. That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so that's always better than nothing. So, I would like to see, kind of the rest of the league, unless there's really a guy that is on high alert of injury or who's already injured, whatever the case may be, that, some of these dudes who already have their spot locked up, man, get them out there just for, a series or 2 and then, shut it down. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. That experience, that little mindset change goes a long way. Going from practice to a game, like it helps. Like there's a difference between training for a fight and actually fighting someone.
Exactly.
That type of stuff matters mentally. Not so much physically, because they know what they're doing. They've been doing it their whole lives. But like that, just getting that mindset goes a long way. Yeah, so let's now hop into you know these prop bets. See where we were looking last year, and I mean a couple pods ago, and see.
Bet.
Uh, all right. So one of the things that we talked about for a season long prop bet that kind of stood out to me personally was I had Saquon Barkley at 1,200 and a half rushing yards. FanDuel had him at 1,000 and a half. Um, that's just one where it's just like, oh man, like maybe I was too high because a thousand rushing yards isn't crazy, but like 1,200 is kind of a lot, especially when you have Jalen Hurts and our offense. It's like I don't know if 1,200 is crazy. I mean, is like that accurate of a prop. So that was one where I was like, oh, maybe I kind of was too excited, overhyping it. We did lose Jason Kelsey. It may not be that easy to just plug and play Saquon. So that I feel like it's good to just kind of look back on your thoughts and self scout and kind of be like, all right, well maybe I
Yeah.
was overhyping it. Same with
Right.
his receiving. It wasn't on FanDuel, but just kind of looking back, I thought Saquon was going to have like close to 500 receiving yards, and even
Right.
though it's not a prop on FanDuel, I just after sitting with it and looking back, I'm just like, oh man, like that's another one. It's just like not a lot of running backs get 500 receiving yards, and Jalen Hurts like historically doesn't really target backs anyways. Like he's not a check down guy. Usually, it's like if the receivers aren't open, he's usually running or trying to
Yeah.
find get some scramble yards or
Right.
hit someone while scrambling. He's not someone who's just like, oh shit, let me hit the back and then whatever. So unless Saquon is really going to get in the slot and be like a downfield threat and run
Right.
actual routes, I don't see him getting 500 receiving yards or so. Um, so those were some things that kind of stood out. But one thing that I for sure am taking the over on is Devontae Smith. His he had 975 and a half receiving yards on FanDuel, and I personally had him at 1,100 and a half. So I just think, just hearing what I'm hearing at a camp, knowing Kellen Moore's offense, the role he's going to play, I just think he's going to have a really good year, and he should easily get over 1,000 yards, and definitely over 975. We're talking about a guy
Yeah.
who gets 1,000 every year. He's only missed one game, even though he's one of the skinniest receivers we've ever seen. He doesn't miss games. He's never injured. He's very consistent. So
Right.
that's one where I'm hammering the over on that, and I think I'll be happy by week 15. I think I'll be in the getting the
Yeah.
over
It
on
should be
that.
good.
Yeah. And then for y'all, we talked about it off air a little bit. The one that stood out to me for y'all was Najee Harris had his over under on FanDuel was 800 and a half. But on our pod, you had him at like 1,300 and a half. So, do you want to talk about your thoughts there? Do you think FanDuel undershot it by a lot, or do you think you might have been overhyping it, or what do you think?
I think he's going to be, definitely somewhere around there, just based off of what I was saying, even when I did say it in real time, which was, he's had three straight 1,000 yard seasons, which no Steeler back has had that.
Right.
So, and that's with everyone saying, he's slow and he's slow and whatever. And like as we've talked about before, yes, he's a slower running back. One, he was never fast, so that was never his thing. And two, it clearly does not matter because he's done it. He's done it with probably the worst lines these last 3 years that the Steelers have had in a long time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if that doesn't speak to how he is as a special talent, I don't know what is. There's not a lot of uh, first round picks that Kevin Colbert got right at the end of his tenure with us, the last 4 to 5 years, I'll say. I'll say Najee is one of them that he definitely got, right. He's a dude that's been available. Anytime he's been injured, he's still played. That's another thing that you always want with running backs. Obviously, the tread on the tires, as they say, hasn't been an effect on him. And so now this year, we're probably going to have, as a young offensive line, the best offensive line that we've had in a while. So for me to think that he's going to have, under 1,000 yards is crazy to me, barring
Mm-hmm.
injury. So no, I think I'll still have him right around there. That I
Yeah.
think that's definitely,
So
easily
you would bet that over on Vandal for
for
sure.
sure, the over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one was George Pickens. You had him at 1,400.5 receiving yards, and FanDuel's over under is 925.5. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so we talked about it off air that I got a little excited. I feel like you feel me, but what I will say is 925 is still kind of disrespectful for similar reasons that I'll say from Najee is just
Hmm.
GP had 1,100 last year, and it was with you know him playing with basically
Me
three.
playing quarterback, yeah.
Thank you, like three different
Yeah.
quarterbacks that
All
should
right.
not have been playing quarterback, and so that just speaks to the special talent of GP. He's always gonna be the X factor out there, and majority of the balls that are thrown his way are going to be his. You're not going to get that from
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah.
with
That's a
better
fact.
QB play, I would obviously believe that he would be over 1,000 again. But now that we have Brandon Ayuk possibly come into the mix, that's looking like something that's going to happen. I haven't been
Yeah.
wanting to talk about that, but it's kind
Don't
of
want to
looking
jinx
like,
it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it's kind of looking like it's just a matter of what the Niners are trying to get back from a third team. But he's basically going to be a Steeler, and if he is a Steeler, I'm excited. Obviously, that's having two number ones is what you got to have nowadays. You can want
Yeah.
to even have a
That's
third dude, but you have to have that.
yeah.
But with that being said, there's I'd be very surprised if he had 1,400 if BA is there. It would be crazy to say that, but I'm still going to go with the over. But I'll just say he'll have probably a little bit over 1,000. Definitely not 1,400 because I think 1,000 of that is going to go to BA. He's going to have over 1,000 if he comes to the Steelers, and so I would say that both of them would be over 1,000, but
Yeah.
not 1,400 for GP, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Brandon Ayuk, man, that would be massive. I think he had the number one ESPN like receiver rating score. However, I don't really know how they calculate it, but I think he was number one for them. PFF, he was the number two highest graded receiver after Tyreek Hill.
Mm,
He's an elite route runner, can do it all. So
yeah,
if you guys are getting him, that's definitely going to impact George Pickens' yardage
yeah.
total there, and maybe that's why FanDuel had it at that number because maybe they know something we
Maybe
don't.
they, yeah,
Vegas always
exactly,
knows. Yeah, Vegas always
exactly.
got the inside scoop on shit.
But at the
So
same time, too, people teams were already treating, because there's a lot of people and there's, old execs and old scouts that want to say that he's not a wide receiver one and he has an issue. And it's just like, I'm sorry, bro. Just stop being a hater. He was the wide receiver one the first year. He was basically with Deontay Johnson, and he was just wide receiver one B. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
now he's in that clearly. Wide receiver one on any NFL team on any roster, he would be a one.
yeah,
But with that being said, teams that have some sense were treating him last season as a one. Clouding him, bracketing him, double teaming him. Okay, so if that happens with Brandon Ayuk, all right. So does that mean that you really gonna put your CB2 on GP? He's gonna cook them. He's cooking the number one corner. So it could also be both ways where people are all of a sudden really scared about what Brandon's gonna do, and then GP gets to do, what he needs to do. So it could work in his favor, honestly, too. So that's just the crazy part about having two talented guys like that. You already, you and Eagles fans already know how that feels to have two guys like that. So I'm just trying to, feel how y'all be feeling. You
I'm
feel
trying
me?
to get like you.
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying
get
to see
like you.
what
You know
that
what I mean?
like.
So you know what I mean. So let's just
Yeah.
hope that's just what it is. But I'm excited to see how that plays out for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's exciting stuff. Yeah. So that's basically all we got for that. If you guys out there listening are into gambling like we are, that's want to take our thoughts into consideration, go ahead and put those NFL future prop bets in and
Right.
let us know how you do. Because we'll be gambling all year long.
Mine already in.
Yeah,
Man. They've
right.
been in. Corey knows that. They've been
Right.
in.
Yeah, you got to get in early before the line changes. You want to
Right.
get the best odds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's hop into grind our gears and wrap this thing up.
Let's do it.
But alrighty. I'll start us off, man.
Yeah.
The what grinds my gears is when people try and like be annoying and send you a little bitch ass article trying to get you all riled up and talk shit like not you no, no, you sent me the shit, but not in the way that grinds my gears. What grinds my gears is when people like, okay, for those of you who don't know, let me backtrack. ESPN, Tim McManus wrote an article about the relationship between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni last season. It wasn't a good relationship. They're not best friends, but last year especially, it was not. There was never a point. One of the quotes was like, "There was never a point where they had a good relationship last year," and the reasoning behind that basically was that after the Super Bowl season, with the success they had, Shane Steichen left, but it was Nick Sirianni's offense. And going into the 2023 season, Jalen Hurts got a massive contract, and he wanted to kind of have more control over the offense and kind of expand it and make it grow a little bit. And as did Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator. He wanted it to kind of expand. He wanted to show like, oh, I'm an offensive coach. I can call plays. Like I want to put my little flair to it. And
Right.
Nick Sirianni kind of was controlling the offense, be like, no, it's my offense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We just went to the Super Bowl with it. This is how we're going to do it. So there was like an estranged relationship between him and Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson because, Jalen and Brian wanted to do more, expanded all this stuff. And Nick Sirianni was kind of just like, no, it's going to work. It's my offense, kind of, dictatory approach.
Right.
And it showed. It did not work. And he took accountability at the end of the season. They said he brought everyone into a meeting and even the owner and the GM, and he, as a head coach, he stood up there and basically said, like, the reason why we had a bad season is me. It's all my fault. Like, I'm going to take responsibility for that, which, is, I respect him for doing that. It's a little too late to do that shit, but better than nothing. But all that to say, the reason what grinds my gears is like people sent me the article. I already knew like all this stuff in the past because I'm just tapped into the Eagles.
Obviously,
and so yeah. But people will send that and be like, "Oh, trouble in paradise!" Like, "Oh, like you guys, what's So people it just pisses me off when people try and like just be annoying. Man, just send the article. You don't need to say like
right.
trouble in paradise. Like, yes, like you could send me in and be like, "Oh, did you see this?" But like trying to just be annoying and get under my skin for no reason is just annoying. So I don't have any issue with the article. I fuck with Tim McManus. He's a good reporter. Shout out to ESPN. But it was just funny the way people approach it because everyone knows I'm a big ass Eagles fan, so they always try and like talk their little shit and be like, just pisses me off. So that's my segment. What you got?
Feel that. Yeah, man. I kind of talked about other things that involve my topic, but it's just mainly the media, and it's basically, obviously we haven't had real football in a very long time. Somebody
Yeah.
said 200 something days or something like that. Probably more than that since the Super Bowl. And
Right.
so obviously, whether it's like people that are tapped into our teams like we are, or casual fans, whatever, everyone's excited just to see something. But as we talked about earlier in this episode, not every team is going to put their starters out there. We saw yesterday, people were upset because they saw Drake May for 2 series or a series. Bryce Young didn't even play. So obviously we're depending on these other guys who are trying to make the roster, or maybe these other high draft picks who do need to play to see if they can fill in a guy that you're the reason why they drafted you. Someone got traded, whatever. And not everybody knows these players, but the media, for whatever reason, always wants to tear down the players. And we get upset when they're like hyping players that don't need, like, necessarily deserve the hype. But I would rather see, it's still annoying. I'm not gonna, deny that. It's still annoying when they do that, but like I would rather see you uplifting and maybe hyping a little bit too much, and then later we just see, all right, that's what they were doing, than just tearing them down. And so what I mean is, Joe Milton got into the game yesterday. He had a big scramble that everybody was excited about for a first down. He threw 38-yard uh, on a rope touchdown. So he played pretty decent. He had more time out there than the top 3 pick and Drake May, who was also a rookie, but he played decently well. And there was just reporters that cover the Patriots saying, anyone who watched Tennessee games knows when he actually has to use what's between his ears, that when he goes against a tough defense, that's not how he plays. And so that was really like weird to me, that first of all,
Mm.
you're basically calling him unintelligent, you're calling him stupid by saying that, because between your ears, your brain, okay? And then you're saying, like, when he faces the real thing, he's not going to be that. Well, the last time I checked, the SEC are the best defenses in college football. So, and he faced that for his entire time, as a Tennessee Vol. I know he transferred from Michigan, but he still,
Yeah.
his whole entire time as a Vol, he was facing, an SEC defense.
Yeah.
But all you got to do is say, he played well. We'll see if that continues. We'll see if he can carve out a backup role. We know this is going to be Drake May's team eventually, whatever.
Yeah.
But to sit there and say, anybody who's watched the games knows that you're a guy that covers the Patriots. So you're a guy that obviously is going to see him around the building, going to be there asking questions. Whether he's tapped into social media or not, that's going to get back to him somehow.
Mm-hmm.
The next time you want to talk to him, asking a question, do you think he's going to want to be as respectful to you as he would have been if you would have said something different, or maybe not said anything at all? Or maybe you have a question that you want answered from him. Maybe he doesn't even, maybe he would give that answer to a different reporter that he respects a little bit more, or that he feels like is neutral. But why would he want to do that with you after that? And so for me, it's just like some of these people, man, especially the ones who never played the game, or who were, as we say, cheeks, butt at the sport. Why are
Yeah.
you doing that, dude? This is a guy who is on an NFL roster for a reason. He's doing something that is 1% of the 1% that you could never even dream of. You could never dream of being what he's living. But that's how you chose to come at him. So it's like, for me, it's like, stop that, dude.
Yeah.
Stop that, and be better. If you don't feel like this is somebody that is gonna work out, man, just say that. But you don't have to, like, degrade somebody, to
Yeah.
show that you, because that, in that sense, it's like you actually showing that you don't like Joe Milton for whatever reason, saying things like that, more than
Right.
just like, oh, I don't feel like he's going to be a good player. There's a difference. So,
Yeah. You can
you know,
criticize someone's play, but not get disrespectful and come
right.
after who they are as a person.
As a
That's
person and
just
everything like
wild.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just, that's just being, in LA, when we call people weird, it's a little bit different than in other places. When you get
Yeah.
called weird, that's us being disrespectful. And so,
Right.
I'm not going to say the dude's name, but you are a weirdo for that, because that was just not something that needed to be, done. And I feel like the media just really, I've said it before, needs to be better with how they choose to talk to and speak to these athletes who are doing something that nobody on this planet, can dream of doing. So
Yeah. No,
that's
that's
my little
no, that's
spiel.
well said. That's well said. Yeah, so that's all we got this week. please rate, review, subscribe. We're on all streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Follow us on socials at Steelbirds Podcast on Instagram, and follow me and Brock on all our socials at Brock_IV and at It's Your Boy CK. And go Birds. What's the Steelers?
Here we go.
Here we go. Go Birds. We got football today, so we'll tap in next week and talk about all that. So,
yes, sir. Let's get it.
Until next time.
Yep. See y'all next time.